What's going on, everyone? So, reports came out that the Golden State Warriors are not actually in play for Jimmy Butler, which I think is very interesting. It's gonna be an interesting period to see like who ends up with Jimmy Butler. The Memphis Grizzlies are a team that appears most likely to end up with Jimmy Butler, but we'll see. Time will tell. There's only so many teams that can really trade for him, and that actually makes sense to trade for them. Memphis being one of those teams. However, with the Golden State Warriors now out on Jimmy Butler, or appears to be based on the reports, things can always change, right? Warriors could easily get in the mix. Could just be a negotiation play, like we don't really want him as much as you think we do, right? Like, yeah, we'd love to have him, but we're not going to sell the farm for him type thing. That could always just be a ploy. That could always be a play. We've heard plenty of times, like, oh, this team's out on a guy, and then next thing you know, boom, it gets done, it gets traded, and they work it all out. So something to at least keep an eye on. But I could see them going another direction, and based on reports, they very well might be. The Golden State Warriors are favorite to land Nikola Vucevic from the Chicago Bulls. And this is something that, like, I've talked about in a previous video. Talked about kind of like the direction in which the Warriors should go, right? You got to pick a lane, pick a direction, right? Like, you need to get Steph some help. And I talked about, like, maybe you just go get, like, do you take a flyer on, like, a Brandon Ingram and a Nikola Vucevic when those are, like, the same price as, like, a Jimmy Butler, right? Like, do you go, instead of going and trying to get that one guy, do you go try to go get several guys and maybe be able to kind of unload some of these other contracts? You know, I see a lot of people that are like, oh, you know, like, the Warriors in their depth, like, they're not winning games. Like, so how good is the depth? Like, as long as they're, like, 8, 9 deep, right, like, if you keep running Steph Curry to the ground, guess what? I don't care how deep you are. You're not winning anything. You're not doing anything without Steph. You need to get Steph help. You need to get Steph a guy or guys that he could count on a nightly basis. You never know who's going to show up, right? Kuminga, you don't know. Are you going to get 20, 25-point Kuminga? Or are you going to get, like, 10-point Kuminga, and it looks bad? And, you know, Andrew Wiggins, same thing. Like, are you going to get 18 to 20-point Andrew Wiggins? Are you going to get like 6 and 2 and just non-productive, right? Like, that's the problem. A guy in like a Nikola Vucevic makes a lot of sense. Why I've mentioned his name in the past. Gives them a true center, something they haven't had since, like, what? You know, Andrew Bogut, right? Like, JaVale McGee was like the last guys that they had. So, like, traditional centers, Nikola Vucevic makes a ton of sense too. Obviously, his three-point shooting and floor stretching ability could go a long way for the Warriors, and just that the type of actions that they like to run. Actually have a real big physical center. You could still keep Andrew Wiggins. You could still keep Draymond Green. Right? Like, your starting five could be like, you know, Steph, Wiggins, Kuminga, Draymond, and Nikola Vucevic, and now you're just better. You're bigger. You match up better against some of these other teams. Right? You still have the shooting and the floor spacing, but now you got a guy that on a nightly basis can go get you 20 points and 10 rebounds. Like, that in and of itself is huge. Right? Like, give him somebody that you can count on a regular basis to just do that. But the biggest benefit from Nikola Vucevic is his playmaking ability. Right? He's a guy that he can really dish out that thing, and so, to kind of give you that other guy that you can run your sets and your actions through, kind of have him play in that, like, Draymond-esque role at times, where he can just, you know, especially through the double team, imagine having Steph Curry to kick it out to, right? Like, just some of these other guys, Buddy Hield, things like that, right? So, if you're the Warriors, I do think that makes a lot of sense. And it's $20 million in salary, which is so much easier for them to get to salary-wise, right? Like, Kevon Looney and, you know, Gary Payton II essentially get you there. Yeah, you have to throw in like a vet guy or whatever, but you're right there. I think that's like $19 million. So you got to like throw in a vet minimum guy and then get that done, get that in. And supposedly Nikola Vucevic can be had for only a couple seconds. So you might not even have to trade, you know, anything crazy. It's not like you have to go give a first or multiple firsts to go get him, right? Like, you can work out the trade to where it's reasonable enough to where it actually makes sense. Gives you that impact, gives you that guy. Does Nikola Vucevic, though, make the Warriors the best, like a real contender? Not necessarily the best team in the league, but a real contender. I don't know. He'll definitely make them better. Right? There's no ands, ifs, buts about it. Like, the Warriors would be much better with Nikola Vucevic. It's just the versatility and what he can provide on the basketball court. Defensively, obviously, there's concerns about him. He's not really great defensively. Doesn't really run the floor well. Right? He's more of closer to a traditional big. Even like a Brook Lopez type, right? Like, just without the defense, right? But he's more of like that traditional big, can just score around the rim, score at buckets, shoot the ball a little bit, step out, stretch out, knock down the three ball. Can he maintain the almost 44% from 3-point range that he's shooting? That's tough. I mean, if you're the Warriors, you hope so, right? Like, if you're the Warriors, you're like, man, because that would just be huge. His ability to stretch out the floor, which would open things up, right? Problem is, Draymond teams, because one of the big problems that the Warriors have is, like, they're not like any of the bigs on the Warriors, when they're outside of like 5 feet, no one's worried about them, right? Like, everyone you see, like, when Trace Jackson Davis and these guys have the ball at like the free throw line extended, like, you see the opposing teams just kind of sag off of them. They're not worried about it. But now if you have Vu, who has the ball on the block, and you sag off of him, he could just rise up and knock that down, right? Or survey the defense and make plays. Right? Like, the Warriors' offense, they want quick actions, quick decisions, especially to operate through a big guy that can just make the pass, make the quick entry pass. I think offensive, like, system-wise, I think he'd be seamless. And then I think you'd still have enough defense around him to really have an impact, right? Like, you still have guys like Schroeder and Kuminga when he's invested and engaged, and a Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins and these guys that can really just get after it on the defensive side. And Vu is good at cleaning it up, right? So, like, if you leave him on an island, he's cooked, right? Like, he just doesn't have the foot speed and lateral quickness, right? Like, to like shuffle and stay in front of guys and really kind of affect their game. However, what he does have is the ability to be 7 foot and block shots. So if you can funnel the guy, if you can kind of push the guy into Vu, and then Vu's just cleaning it up, and he's just kind of that defensive guy, then you'd be fine. So luckily the Warriors have several guys they can kind of funnel to Vu, so I do think he'd be fine in that defensive system. You could argue, what else do they do? Right? If you're the Warriors, like I said, I think that they need to do something. I think that they need to make some type of splash. But it's just like, do you take a flyer on like a Brandon Ingram? Right? Which I wouldn't hate either for them. Just because, like, they need to get somebody that can help Steph. They need to get somebody that can slot in and essentially, like, take the pressure off of Steph Curry. Right? Like, because that's the problem. Like, all the pressure's on Steph to be great on a regular basis. Like, just for you to have a chance to win, not even necessarily win. And it's just, like, the mighty have fallen, right? They were this team that looked like they were going to win a championship. Like, wow, Steph's going to do it again, huh? And then, lo and behold, law of averages played out. Everything kind of went back to normal. Buddy Hield stopped playing like he was prime Klay Thompson. Just everything kind of went back to what you expected them. And now look, now they're a play-in team, right? Like, and I don't think anyone would be shocked if they missed the playoffs or the play-in or playoffs too, both. You can just say both of them. I don't think anyone would be shocked if they missed them entirely, right? Like, which would be very unfortunate to Steph. So I just think that they need to pick a lane. They need to do something. And Vucevic might be their best option, might be their best pickup. And especially if you can get that done sooner rather than later, because you could do that and then step back and evaluate and see what else happens, right? So, like, maybe you go make the play for Vu, and then you still have, like, Wiggins and all, like, the big hefty contracts, and see if maybe something else comes to light, something else that makes sense. And it's like, okay, well, maybe we should go get this guy over here. Or, hey, maybe we should go get a Kyle Kuzma or something, right? Or maybe they go and push harder for a Cam Johnson or something, right? And it's just like, okay, we get Cam Johnson. Worst case, you just go like Dennis Schroeder with Steph, and then Cam Johnson, Draymond Green, and Nikola Vucevic, right? Like, you figure it out is the point. But Anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think that Nikola Vucevic makes all the sense in the world for them? Go get him. Go make it happen. Do you think, no, stay as far away from Nikola Vucevic? It's not the answer. It's not the play. Do you think that they should go get Jimmy Butler? Do you think that they shouldn't? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it either way, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.